Hey, we should be live. Should be live. I'm looking. I go to live now. I mean, it's hard enough to find my own stream over here, isn't it? Select stream to get started. Select stream. And now it says in stream. Do I have to reload YouTube? And also, let's put that on do not disturb just in case. Sydney Sweeney body wash genie. Come on. Now it says live over here. This thing, let me tell you. Is it working? Okay. Yeah, it's working. Okay, let's see if we can get somebody to join the chat here, and then we'll really have ourselves a show, won't we? I'm all set up. Got stuff to unbox. Doesn't reveal my address. I think I can, just in case, and I don't have my knife in arm's reach. That's wonderful. I've got other props. New to here says, hey, oh, kind of reminded me there. Let's go to, come on, all messages. Where are we at? Yeah, I'm selecting top messages. Hold on, guys. There, you got to hit the wheel. All messages. Okay. Just in case that guy who's always like not considered top, like what is new? Yeah, Auspicious Spadicus, stock market. Oh God, I'm bored. Yeah. We won't delve into that for too long. Yeah, this guy Spasticus is always like hidden unless I hit all messages. It's kind of freaky. So I feel anyway. I think everything looks good here. I've got the SGA jersey. Oklahoma. Thunder. You know, I got this to kind of wear and surprise my soon to be 90-year-old German grandma because she liked the Thunder. And then she was like, what's that? Like, okay, thanks for the reaction. All right, we've got people here. Let's go ahead and dive into this. So, shall we? Welcome. We got ourselves a fresh Red Bull. There's nothing like the real thing, baby. It's another live stream. You know, I figured out that the trick to the live stream, you got to have like a dozen people who all agree with each other, but they all talk over each other at the same time during a live stream. So it's got to be like 12 people who all agree, and there won't be any interference, won't be any butting up. They just all say Disney Star Wars sucks for about 3 hours. And then you have thousands of people join your stream and give you a bunch of money. They'll give you $50 to read. Oh, hey, I have a new book coming out. It's called The Spaz in Space, and it's available now in paperback. Okay, cool. Thanks for the tip, the super chat, whatever. That's the trick. If you don't do things as sleazy as possible, you get nowhere. So, in the news, we have our buddies over at, we're not talking about the Switch. I'm going to talk about the Switch in just a sec, but let me bring up a little something over here I call, oh my God, this thing. I swear, now I have to do this bit, or I have to try to figure out what's not working. Yep. Go to properties, and why is it always like this? How come I always have to switch this back because it gets like frozen? Let's pretend that I got that to work really well so I could repackage this as a video on Saturdays. Check it out. Nike stock having a rough go. A rough go indeed. You know, if we look at the 5-year, what are we seeing here? It's not promising. We're pretty much where we were 5 years ago. Which, this point 5 years ago, really, really bad. What's the max? Yeah, obviously you stretch this shit back to like, pretty much like, what, 1985, 86 it's showing here. No, it'll give you 40 years, April 1985. Oh yeah, we had a pretty good time over here for a time, and super inflation and all that. Selling our hype shoes for way more money than we should. But then we look over at the 5 day. Oh no, Nike stock is tanking. This is so deserved. Guys, this Liberation Day, no, this is comeuppance. This is, hey, you know what? I saved up a bunch of money working hard in stopping young people from getting a job. What am I going to do next? Well, let's have my money work for me and put it into companies that screw over employees, steal from their 401k, pensions, retirement plans, insurance, whatever, don't reimburse them, and then on the way into bankruptcy say, good luck with that shit. I'm heading off to the Bahamas. That's the stock market in a nutshell. That is what every company would like to do. Hey, let's find a way to try to go out of business. So we buy this company up, and then we say, oh, yeah, we're going to sell the land out from under it, make them rent the land from themselves, Red Lobster, and then steal from all the pension. We have to get rid. It's a bankruptcy. We have to get rid of the 401ks, the retirement plans. Hey, get rid of, as in put it in our own pocketbook. And then, see you guys. Well, we made a lot of money, but you guys, you're kind of screwed. That's what you get for not being at the top. Don't take any words from that asshat Ben Shapiro for the next several weeks. Because look, there's two groups he's really going to cape up for. And I'm sorry that I left the product display mode on, so it's going to like always shift out of focus instead of looking at my eyes. I'm looking at you. I'm watching you. You're watching me. I'm watching you, right? Two groups Ben will always cape up for. One of them you're not supposed to talk about, and they have a country of their own. The other group, the stock market bros. The stock market bros are the economy. Everything has to be good for them, because if it's good for them, it's good for you. That's the mindset. These people are playing they're rigging a game, and they want you to play. Winning in the stock market is no different than winning at the casino, except we're allowed to say that you don't beat the house. Well, apparently you don't beat the big stock bros either, because when they lose, they get to say, too big to fail. And then we over here with Nike. Look at this dip. Look at it. Oh, gosh. And then it comes back up. And why does this stuff come back up? Why does the stock come back up? It's not because it's hard data. It is speculation. Well, I think that people are going to buy back in now that the prices are low. The guys at the top know when these crashes are happening, and they go, okay, it's time to tell everybody to sell. Tell all the underlings to sell. Tell all the retired people to sell their stock so that we can buy it for a low price. And then we make more money. It's not real. If you want to actually support America, don't just simply buy America, buy privately held family businesses, because they have scruples. They don't have to do everything in their power to shave $1 off so that they can please some shareholders. Chick-fil-A, the ultimate business. There should just simply be a Chick-fil-A class in school. Like in college, I got my, what do they call it now? I got a concentration in Chick-fil-A management. And it's like, oh, okay, so you know how to say please, thank you, you're not a douche. You have some kind of standards. You don't have to work on Sundays, because that is not something that would happen at Chick-fil-A if they were publicly held. Like if there was a Chick-fil-A stock, first thing they would do, oh, we're open on Sundays. We have to make as much. Hey, I'm sorry, I don't want to be out as CEO. I have to do everything to make the shareholders money. And also the food got cheaper. It's less healthy. It smells bad. Because it was cheaper to do it that way. We have to make as much money as possible. And the bean counter said, bad food open 7 days a week at all hours of the day will make the most money. Hey, I have no choice. I have to make the most money possible. So whatever you can do, start your own privately held. Don't go, oh, we're going public. That's the first sign of you're about to rip people off. That's the sign of, well, okay, I hope we had shares at the launch, because the money that gets infused into the business is only happening that one time. You go public, and now Facebook has all this money pouring in because people want to share Facebook. What happens when the shares get shared again? I buy Facebook shares and then I sell them to somebody else. Facebook isn't holding that money, it's not collecting it. These trillion-dollar companies are almost broke. Somebody like Apple comes out and says they have some 100 billions in cash, okay? That's good news. That's real. When you have like a 3 trillion, like how much money do we think Nvidia actually has, guys? So they have like I'm throwing this out because it was only a few years ago companies started getting evaluated at $1 trillion, and now they're like 3 trillion, right? And they don't have that money. That's all the shareholders collectively have, that $3 trillion. The company doesn't get to play with that. They don't have it. But we're going to determine that as a company being successful. GameStop. GameStop exists as a meme stock. If this stuff was real, they'd be out of business. But instead, it's speculation and what we think will happen. And well, if this influential guy with the blue hair says everybody buy GameStop and you get in line at midnight to buy GTA 6, that's coming around the corner. GameStop, we have to get our GameStop. The stock market should crash and no one should get bailed out this time because it is a bunch of fraudsters sitting at the top who always have some kind of way to weasel out the cash from everybody else. All right, enough of that. Let's look at the chat real briefly here. By the way, this is coming from a guy who made some bank on some Best Buy and particularly Apple. I had Apple stock when it was like $64 a share. It sold it at like, it might have been 600 or something. And that was a long time ago. I know the trends. I knew there was a time when you could get like Amazon stock. They had just launched a smartphone that failed and it was like $34 a share. And I thought, if I had the money available, could have turned that into something because I realized that Amazon doesn't need a smartphone to succeed. If they were Nokia, if they were actually a smartphone company and they needed that product to succeed, that's a little different because thinking in line like George Lucas over here, they can't have a bad movie fail over at Lucasfilm because they'll be bankrupt. Now it's like that we were counting on that to for all of our income, and it fails. Not a good business to be in. So, yeah, look at there's no money in entertainment aside from the affiliate links. I'll tell you that firsthand. Okay, Atticus, bored with the stock market. Vaughn, are you a Kansas City or Kansas State guy? Well, I don't live near Kansas City. Kansas City, as far as I'm concerned, is in Kansas. And if for some reason I'm the next governor of Kansas, I will be looking to reclaim Kansas City. That is damn sure. Another day, another crop of clickbait videos about tech breakthroughs that won't change. Oh, so true. Oh, a Harvard study says, and then they just, whatever we want to study, because we're too lazy to look at anything real, we'll just study this and then say findings, give us money, grant, right? Oh, you're paying us to say that your kind of bed is better than that float mattress over there? Well, we'll find a way to say it. All right, try to keep the F-bombs out of here. I'm not reading them. Sports brands. Oh man, Nike. How could I have forgotten? I even had a prop ready. Nike is over here saying, we're too cool for school. Hell, we're going to relocate out of China and start making stuff in Vietnam or Cambodia. Yeah, we'll play less tariffs over there, right? And we'll give you our hype sneaker, a good dozen years afterwards. We'll let this come out, and then it'll get all this hype and people will talk about it and all this stuff, and then we'll take it away from you, and then eventually, okay, fine, you can have it. We'll do that little number. That's Nike right there, guys. Nike says, let's not give the public the products they want when they want them. Let's not make stuff in the United States. Let's do whatever dance we can to have the child labor, allegedly, or at least the low income, low skill level labor do all the stuff, but designed in Oregon or something, right? We'll say that much. And by the way, when you see designed in California, that's what everybody puts on shit. when they want to sound like Apple. Because it's like, if you're telling me something isn't made in the USA, write designed in California on it. We'll give you all the stuff you want eventually or whatever. But oh, if we moved our facilities over to America, it would cost us so much more to make in the US. Okay, so you're telling me what, $210 PhonePosit 1? You're telling me you couldn't release this made in America for the same price? Really? Because I have a feeling it probably cost you 10 to 15 bucks to make such a sneaker. And there isn't any reason in the world for this stuff to cost as much as it does. Other than probably you owe LeBron James so much money because you overpaid him for sneakers that sit on shelves. But that has to work its way into everything you have in your facilities, doesn't it? Your whole product line has to make up for LeBricks. That's what it's really about, isn't it? You're overpaying too many athletes, eventually giving them some kind of signature shoe nobody wants. But everything else, everybody, well, price has to go up over. You can't justify the price, especially used market, right? You can't justify, I couldn't buy this used, not because I'm broke and can't afford it, but because in good faith, it just doesn't feel well. The chase of the sneakerhead is worth more than actually eating the fruit. You get the stuff on your feet, at best, it's a comfortable shoe. But it's kind of nice to have something and be like, ah, I got them. Maybe some girl, oh no, wait, it's only little teenager boys are pointing this out. Now I feel creepy, right? So why wear the hype sneaker? Oh, it'll be fun editing that into something tomorrow, shall it? Oh, hey, are you guys watching my dad's channel? I'm just wondering. Are you guys, because his channel just launched this week, and it's sort of more popular than mine. And I told him that might happen because he got a new SUV. And so we're kind of making like videos on it, little shorts, whatever, and trying to get that up off the ground or whatever. He's going to do other things that'll be less popular soon, but I just got to throw that out there. Oh, what are we missing over here? Stock market is a gambling site. That's a good way to put it. However, isn't it weird how like you're not really supposed to go around suggesting stock tips? If you say something about gambling is call 911 for help, you can quit too. But they get to shove this shit all over. And I can't see a cigarette ad. Bring back cigarette ads. Because I think at this point, you know where you're getting into, right? With the gambling and the stock shit, you don't have as good of an idea of what you're getting into. It's not actually as honest. The cigarettes in place, like, isn't there cigarettes for sale in Australia where they have people's teeth falling out and like gum disease and their face rotting off on the packet? And that is supposed to be like the deterrent to stop you? LeBron James and Kevin Hart over here for, what is it, DraftKings, FanDuel, like it matters. Pete Rose is going to be kicked out of the MLB Hall of Fame for life. Well, kicked out if you have to be in first, but right. Oh, but it's okay. LeBron James, King James, my king. Yeah, who has never committed a foul in his life. He gets a star in gambling, sports gambling ads with King James while being an active player in the NBA. And you're telling me this shit isn't corrupt, that this isn't fixed, that this stuff's real. So much stuff is more fixed than I think we're willing to get into. I like the idea of the reciprocatory, however you say it, tariffs. Unbeknownst to me, we had these tariffs applied against us, of which we weren't really doing anything to push back. I think the numbers that were come up with for his chart were not entirely realistic. It might have taken some other things into account and called it a tariff, and maybe that is possibly true. I mean, when it comes to dealing with things internationally, it's kind of like he said, she said, so whose side are we on? But why should we be on her side? So it's like some politician dies in Russia. In America, it's reported as an assassination. And if should this happen in America, it could be drunk driving, right? Like it will be reported different. Who do you believe? Especially seeing as how our systems are so full of shit. You can't possibly believe anybody. I have to go out there and look at the, you know, smell for the alcohol myself and see the tire marks on the road to try to get in a sample. You know, bring Vin Diesel out there and he'll give you one look and he'll know exactly who killed Letty. Or bullshit like that. I think Apple was the first $1 trillion. I think it was, but I know at one point Volkswagen was the biggest company because they, I think in some buyout of Porsche, something inflated their stock for a couple days. It might have hit a trillion first, or it came damn close. I think Microsoft, Alphabet. I don't even like to think Facebook exists. That's all fake shit. Amazon, obviously, they're up there on the trillion. Nvidia jumped up there. I don't really understand what Nvidia's got going for them. They have competitors. It seems like if Apple so wanted to, they should be able to take over the graphic card space. But instead, they're like, no, we want these iPhones. That's what the consumers want. Screw exploring the stars. People want iPhones. They want to sit, get fat, and watch somebody else do some shit. So Apple is just in constant please the consumer mode. But Apple was a family company. Maybe they'd be looking to get some grassroots ethics things going, actually have some grand visions. Instead, it's no. Steve Jobs died with iPhone, so we're still making iPhones. That's kind of where we're at. Anybody else got any ideas? That's the way Apple operates, right? Did you watch Hoodlum? Did somebody tell me to watch Hoodlum? Shit. You know what I was going to start? Is it called Gangsterland? Not a John Travolta movie, but Hoodlum, Lawrence Fishburne. I did watch a Lawrence Fishburne movie the other day, Cherry 2000. I'm probably going to have a video on it in the week or something. There's been a lot I've been watching. A lot of it takes a ton of time. Like, look, complete when you look, I made the mistake of getting into OVA series, so it's like lots of stuff to watch. Lots of stuff to watch. How about a 6 movie series, right? 6 movies. So I watched all that stuff and I still don't have videos. And at this point, I'm kind of like, even if I do put the video out, you guys aren't going to watch. Nobody watched the worst Jackie Chan movie. I thought, wouldn't it be clever if I didn't say what the movie was in the title and people would go, Jackie Chan, I've heard of him. Click. Yeah, The Protector is the worst. I haven't heard of that one. Sounds pretty bad, right? But instead, people are like, probably some guy talking about some other dude. I'm not going to watch that. The video also got limited. It got hit with the limited sticker. And I won. I fought Google and I won. And there was a liberal use of censorship bars in that video, which there had to be. But I will tell you, it's probably only due to my massive unpopularity I'm able to get away with the director's cut as is, because like I'm on the line and I'm using all, like, getting the best advice I can directly from YouTube support about what can go in the members section for 18 plus. And it's like, well, we can't actually say, but I mean, here's a video that kind of explains, and I'm like, well, seeing as how one person might watch, doodle-doodle-doo, yep, no censor bars there. So, yeah, those of you watching right now should definitely be channel members. I'll tell you that much. The Von Fry Happy Hour is brought to you by Red Bull. Sort of. You know that big Red Bull video I did like a week ago? Amazon actually ran with that. They actually approved that to show alongside Red Bull listings over on Amazon, which I think is pretty amazing. However, it doesn't show alongside the sugar-free. And I thought I gave Sugar Free some pretty good props. So, in the event somebody watches my video on Amazon and then buys Red Bull, going, hey, that guy's cool. I'm going to have me some Red Bull. After all, it gives you wings. Then, in theory, then it is brought. I will consider that a Red Bull sponsorship at that point, right? No, should I say? His channel is. Hell, how do I pull this up without this being a problem? I don't know if I can type that there without it being a, the, because I know when I say things, people can't spell them, even though things are written quite literally and all that, right? So, and if any of you mention me over there, it'll be your ass. Just pretend you naturally came across him and you have no idea who he is. How many Red Bulls did you drink? I bought a lot. Bought 3 dozen from Target for $10. I found like a super good deal and I thought, oh man, it'll last me like all summer. And now I'm down to like the last, I don't know, 6 cans or something. No regrets, but I will tell you, they do have the expiration date on them was not amazing. And I think that's because Red Bull sits on the shelf for so long because people are just like, Red Bull, it's so expensive. Monster it is. But I have heard that Red Bull doesn't actually expire, that they had to just put a date on there. In fact, I don't think these individual cans, can I see that? It has a date under there, but it didn't expire, but before the end of the summer. So that was what was disappointing. So I was kind of like, I'm going to have to drink these pretty quick. This is my only Red Bull this week. Actually, okay, hold on. I think Monday. I think I had a sugar-free Monday. So I'm trying to scale it back, okay? When you first get introduced to the energy drink, you get super jittery and you're really hyped. But now that I'm drinking them like on a mm, it's not quite every other day, but sometimes it can be basis. It doesn't really have the same effect, but some of them will make you pretty damn sleepy. Some of those rock stars, man, I'm like, it's 11 p.m. and I'm tired as hell. And then once that kind of happens, then it's kind of like you're awake till 8 a.m. It's like you hit your barrier, your zone of sleep, and you go past it and you have to go back around the clock. Does Kansas State have barbecue? We have barbecue here. We have a couple of places in town and in the Wichita vicinity that are. There's a place called like Pig Inn, I think. There's a lot of like local joints for sure. I don't think anyone did barbecue better than uh, I think the place is called Jerry Max in Yukon, Oklahoma, small suburb outside Oklahoma City. When I lived over there, we had a place that had the best pork. And ever since, it's like, okay, why did you include the burned part in here? How come your stuff's not as white as Jerry Max? How come your sauce isn't as good? So it's kind of like that small secret joint, right? And I'll tell you another thing about that Jerry Max. Like somebody must have known something going on over there. Cause I think the first time I saw a Porsche 911 was right in front of the place. It was like early 90s, and I walked by and Dad's like, "Hey, there's a Porsche." And I'm like, "Whoa, this doesn't look like other cars around here." So that stood out. That's a memory there, right? I saw the Jackie Chan vid, but Jackie Chan film Who Am I was way. That was one I was thinking I might have watched more recently than I had. I know that was like I don't think it actually got a theatrical run in the US, and I saw a large portion of it on HBO years back. And then I think I might have picked it up on DVD through Netflix in college and then was trying to remember, okay, there was a movie. and I'm trying to find this scene. I know this happened in the same movie as another scene, so I'm trying to figure out what this movie is, and I know it was like 2000s ish around Jackie Chan film. So a not Jackie Chan in his prime, but he had a way of like spider walking. He would have like his hands and feet on the ground and shuffle super crazy quick, like sideways, like almost like he was sliding without lifting his arms up high, like not like out. It was crazy. And I think that might have happened in Who Am I, but I'm not sure. Um, and I know that the movie I'm thinking of is the same movie where at one point he had to run naked through somewhere, and he had like some kind of like uh flesh colored briefs or something, but he had like his hand over his crotch and he's like running through a market. And then somebody said, well, it's really hard to pin down because that's every other Jackie Chan Hong Kong movie that ends up happening. So if somebody knows, put that in the chat. In my entire life, I don't think I've ever seen a commercial that made me want to buy a product. It's been a while. I know that when the "Why have Bateman when you can have Batman" commercials are playing, I saw somebody comment, finally a good commercial. It's been a long time. And I'm like, come to think of it, we have let women run the commercial space. All those women marketers from marketing club in high school, they're now calling the shots, and everything has to be female focused because some asshat guided focus group got led around by the lawyers to tell them what was safe and how we have to pander to the women, girl boss and everything all over the place. Hey, I'm a girl boss. We need to have more girl bosses. And then we end up with a bunch of trash and everybody's afraid to tell jokes. Doesn't Kansas do lamb barbecue? I've never had lamb. I don't think venison is offered in public. Maybe somewhere in West Kansas, closer to Colorado, somebody may go hunting and then they would prepare their own deer meat. And somewhat every other year, somebody gets a bad virus from that and dies. So I've been told not to do that. I do know that around Montana or Wyoming, I think it was Montana, I did try some buffalo meat somewhere. And it was, you know, give me a cow or a pig or a chicken. That's kind of my limitation on meat. I don't go with the stuff out of the ocean. No, cow, pig, chicken, pretty good there. We can just focus on that. Gotta be honest, lamb is my least favorite meat. I won't eat it. Terrence Howard is so insane. I love it. In this Hoodlum movie you talking about? Because I saw, let's see here. He can't be in that. That's 1997. Was he in a movie in 97? Because like I'm looking at the cast here and I'm not seeing who you're saying. Maybe he's way down the list on that. I don't know. Do department store catalogs count as commercials? They don't, but it is part of marketing. Uh Kids will never understand what it was like to have the Sears catalog and try to circle what they wanted for Santa to give them or any of that sort of shit. Anything you want for Christmas, birthday, whatever. No, now I think kids get stuff on demand. And I'm not just simply saying they're watching Netflix. I'm saying you had to like be good to get a cookie or to have candy or a dessert, and now it's just kind of like I can get dessert whenever I want. The kids are feeling like adults in that way. Like the adult can just have candy. The kid had to earn the candy. The adult earns the candy by having a job to afford the candy and thus earn the candy. But the kid earned it by good grades, good behavior, scoring the most points in soccer, some shit like that. Beating dad in Street Fighter 2 Super Turbo. I don't make the rules. But kids now are just kind of like lazy asshats who will easily be manipulated by the media into knifing each other and stealing cars. So there's that, right? Top three Val Kilmer films. So I did watch The Doors a few weeks ago. So that wasn't me predicting his death. However, I was talking to a friend of mine that I watched some guy, I think I mentioned him the other week, Drew Gooden. His name bothers me because it makes me think of this like kind of Down syndrome basketball player that played for KU. And he he watched all the Saturday Night Live movies, and the one he liked best was MacGruber, which was the last SNL movie. Which, if you think, if we finally, oh, we're making a good one finally, you'd think we'd have more. But instead, that was the last SNL character movie. Maybe Stefan could become a movie. I'm not sure how you expand on that. I think Wayne's World worked really well because you could expand on what Wayne and Garth do outside of their show. There was room to grow that. Now, I didn't think MacGruber was particularly good. There were some kind of funny things about it, but I didn't think Will Forte's, crazy, brilliant comic genius or anything. But yeah, Val Kilmer was in that, and then he dies the next day. Right after I told my buddy I watched this video, this guy talking about MacGruber, and then nope, I shouldn't have talked about MacGruber. Val Kilmer died. Top three films. Does Top Gun count? Because look, when we're saying a so and so film, I'm kind of thinking of they are the reason people arrive to the theater, and Val Kilmer's not necessarily the reason there. I don't think Batman Forever is that bad. Um, I liked it when I saw it in the summer of '95. I don't have much of a problem with it. It's Batman and Robin is one that we should try to point some fingers at. I don't think that people seem to forget that Val Kilmer was Batman. They'll show their collages of Batman and they'll have Michael Keaton and then they'll skip to Christian Bale or skip to George Clooney then Christian Bale. Like shit like that happens. So that's unfortunate. Other Val Kilmer stuff. Obviously, as roles go, Doc Holliday, it would surprise you that he didn't get an Oscar nomination for that. I think most people assumed he had gotten an Oscar nomination or has won an Oscar. But the closest he's come to like an actual prominent award would be a Grammy nomination in like 2021 or something. Occasionally, there are some of these kind of celebrities who never got nominated for anything. And I guess just because of that Grammy, we can't put him quite on the list, although it is well after heyday. I kind of think that the most famous actress to not get nominated for any full stop anything, I think she picked up a Razzie. Val Kilmer did get a Razzie Redemption award, which is like it's like the one good Razzie, which is, I guess you could take some praise in that. But Kelly Preston, no nominations. I think she got Razzie or Razzie nominations and full stop nothing. Almost everybody else has at least an Oscar nomination or an Emmy nomination of some kind. It is hard to find actors that are well known that don't have any of that stuff. I'm trying to think if there could be somebody out there. Maybe James McAvoy. Does James McAvoy not have any nominations? Because I can't think that he had. I mean, you could think, oh well, Split seems like something you could get an award for, but I don't think he got a major nomination. Even if we add Golden Globe to the mix, like it could be hard to find actors who don't have any of that stuff. So yeah, people are saying MacGruber's awesome. Tombstone, baby, The Saint. I saw The Saint in theaters and thought it was okay, and I remember almost nothing about it other than he wore some disguises. It introduced me to the concept of oh shit, what do they call it when you go to the building but they're not allowed to come inside because you're in your country on their land or some shit? Embassies. It was all about running around and trying to I'm an American, let me in or some shit. I'm Elizabeth Shue. Johnny's gonna be mad if you don't let me in here, and you don't want Danielson coming in here and crane kick your ass. So everybody says Tombstone was his best. Do you remember that movie he was in about those killer lions? Oh yes, that wasn't bad either. The Ghost in the Darkness. Now that won an Oscar for, I think, sound effects, editing. There's two. I think they actually changed this, but at least for a time there, it was very confusing, and they would make a bit of it on the Oscar telecast of how this is the difference between sound effect mixing and sound effects editing, or sound effect something, and it's kind of like, no, you're not really explaining it very well. Is that the joke that you can't explain it? So yeah, The Ghost in the Darkness. That's not a kind of movie we can make anymore because we just can't have that many extras building something real. Like building railroads in Africa. Screw that shit. We're gonna go to Australia and we're gonna set up green screens, and that's CGI those Aborigines, make them look a little bit more African, and there we go. And everything would look like piss. We'd have CGI lions all over the damn place. By the way, the lions in that, I don't think they're actually depicted as they were in reality. These were a like maneless lion. They looked almost more hyena-like than typical big mane Mufasas. So something to consider. Oh, there goes Vaughn saying things that are not available in AI, so it can't be real. If AI said so, shit. Batman Forever soundtrack. Dun 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 dun. Mm, mm, come to think of it, were the Smashing Pumpkins in Batman Forever soundtrack and then given more prominence in? I think there was a Smashing Pumpkins song, po- possibly when Robin stole joyrided the Batmobile around that period in the movie, and then they got a more prominent spot in the Batman and Robin soundtrack. But Batman Forever is one of those cassette tapes that got plays in my cassette. I mean, geez. I couldn't quite tell you the track order. It's been a while, but listened to pretty much all that. There were some bangers there. That movie made Kiss from a Rose prominent. The song actually came out like the prior year, but was ignored because Seal looks hideous. And then they put it in the movie, and then they're like, "Oh, we'll like that." Oh, well, Heidi Klum liked it enough, so that happened. I tried to watch Batman Forever like 5, 10 years ago and couldn't finish it. There are some hangups about it. The CGI Gotham stands out. Now, I did a short a while back about how, and this should have been way more popular than it was, because it's like, wow, he really hit on something. But instead, YouTube's like, wait a minute, a guy with blue hair didn't tell me about this. This is bullshit. I pointed out how Batman Forever inspired Iron Man 2008 because there is a scene in which John Favreau has a very small role. He's like a bodyguard or somebody, some muscle, or somebody who's talking with Bruce Wayne fairly early in the movie. And then Bruce Wayne immediately gets into like this chute and goes down, and it's like a Batman transformation thing. And he's descending down out of his office chair, and there's a heads up display as like Alfred talks to him and gives him some information about somebody's up to something, whatever. And it is very much the Iron Man interface. We always have these unrealistic shots of Iron Man where it's like we can see way too much of Robert Downey Jr.'s face as if there wasn't a screen in front of him, and we just have to pretend we're seeing through it. But we have the interface kind of bouncing off in front of him. And that was in Batman Forever. And is it not weird enough that the director of Iron Man was in that movie, saw this shit, took some notes, and applied it to Iron Man? Why am I not getting like genius credit for this shit? For figuring this shit out? But nope, we gotta wait for Critical Drinker, who will someday point this shit out, and everybody will be like, what a damn genius. Hold on, I gotta send you $10 so you can tell everybody I said you're a genius. Shit. I should sell a placebo called Crazy Pills, right? So you can actually be taking crazy pills when you realize how all this trash and lies are around you, and you're the only sane person. Cry me a river, right? The Saint was supposed to be good, but it wasn't my thing. I get asked that by my folks. Is this supposed to be good? Is that supposed to be like before a movie comes out? That's Snow White. Is that supposed to be good? Like, how am I supposed to know? No, they're going around trying to make bad movies now. That's the cool thing to do. So, wait till I see something, then I'll tell you if it's good or something. Like, that's generally. Michael Douglas was so bad in that line. I thought he was okay, but how else would that role go down, right? Let's get the guy from Romancing the Stone. He's kind of rugged, jungly. Okay, kind of works. The way he dies, so off screen like it's almost like oh, was that about the same year actually? Executive Decision, The Great Exit for shit. I'm remembering his movies more than his name. Steven Seagal. I thought, well, Steven Seagal, he caught some part of the plane. He latched on. He's there to the rescue. No. Oh, geez. And I mean, that is definitely more of a got into an argument on set with Richie out of the movie. But yeah, stuff like that happens. Val was fun in Willow. That first, that only Willow movie is not bad. It has some pretty ambitious effects. The introduction of morphing, the way some of the composite stuff works with giants in broad daylight and shit, and in fights, interactive with people, live character acting, pretty ambitious. It doesn't look spot on, dead ass accurate, but hey, when we do shit with CGI now, it doesn't either. It just looks different. There is a charm to having to do the composite the old style way with optical printers and chemical lab shit. Now it doesn't even seem like the people directing the movie have talked to any of the staff that is doing the special effects. And I think Disney really revealed the curtain. Like the curtain got pulled back when they hired that Chinese broad who was gifted an Oscar and then said, "Hey, go direct the Eternals." And she's like, "Okay, fine." What does that entail? Well, you'll kind of look at the actors when they say stuff, and then we'll do everything. In fact, we already have worked on the effects. So you just kind of like you're going to tell people you're directing, and we're going to actually make the movie. And for her to reveal that said everything you need to know about the way shit's done now. And when you look at something else and you assume that maybe people did actually direct it, and then you come to find out they didn't, right? So yeah, you can't get movies like in the 80s. And when someone tries to make a movie 80s style, it seems disingenuous. When people were of a time period and they thought, this looks cool, this sounds cool, let's have these characters dress cool and say cool things. When you try to do that now, it feels like somebody's copying an 80s movie. Oh, well, we know this guy really likes the 80s because all the soundtrack, and that's all you get out of it. I could sit here, I could just go fire up Spotify and listen to the music when I want to. I don't need to hear that. Oh, you like Foreigner also? Well, geez, I must love your movie. I think Douglas was actually a producer of that. He cast himself at the last minute, and it shows. I think Michael Douglas was doing some movie production stuff like well before it was in vogue for leading man to be producing movies, and I think that's a big part of where his net wealth comes from. Trying to recall here, there was something I looked up, and I can't remember what it was, but it was something like Kirk Douglas bought the rights for or was going to be in a movie, but then his son Michael Douglas bought the rights, and then it ends up starring somebody completely else. And then I look at the producer credits, and I don't see Michael Douglas there. But it's strange like that, right? And if I'm not wrong, Did Michael Douglas do a lion movie before? Like, I'm trying to think, was there something where it was like Jodie Foster's the little girl and Michael Douglas is there and there's a lion or something like this? So did Michael Douglas, was he like a big fan of lions and then pushed for that movie to get made and okay, I'll have the cool role, something like that? I've heard good things about Salton Sea, or I recall Ebert and Roper talking about it. Um, was that the last time Val Kilmer looked kind of good, or not fat or something? He used to be so skinny looking, right? Like he was quite skinny, and then really let himself go as the roles were drying up, right? I absolutely hate all the virtual production shit. This is the worst time ever to be an actor. It's so goddamn boring. It was almost commendable to have to work in a green screen before anybody else knew how to do it. And it's like, wow, they acted like there were real dinosaurs attacking them, and it was just a Muppet. And now the only acting you do is in a green screen. So it becomes way less impressive. But you can certainly spot really terrible acting when there isn't an actor to bounce the lines between. That can really stand out. What do you say we talk a little bit about the Switch, okay? Because we kind of got off the rails here with some stuff. So Switch news, we're switching it up. Nintendo Switch coming to you for only $450. Oh, but don't worry, you can get a bundle that includes Mario Kart World for $500. That's less than a PS5 Pro. Whoa. Okay, hold on, guys. Donald Trump has implemented some tariffs, and now we don't know what we're gonna do. So, oh yeah, I don't know if my cursor's on screen here. I can't remember if I've got it set that way, but I saw some promising stuff out of the Switch too. The Mario Kart World looks pretty nice. Graphically, this stuff is getting the upgrade one expects. From a playability, they had that wheelchair basketball game. As much as I think it would be cool to play a game that forces you to play with the mouse controls, zip, zip, as much as I think that would be cool, I know, because I know how the gamers think, that it is mouse and keyboard or traditional controller all the way, or they don't give a shit. That's what it is. Okay, Fight Stick 2. Mouse, keyboard, Fight Stick, with or without a damn lever, whatever, or a traditional controller, pro controller, whatever, or they're just not into anything that will have some kind of bespoke new user experience. So you will get that one game where you try to move up and then take a shot and all this shit. You will get that one game, and that stuff will be jettisoned. Switch 2, SE, Lite, whatever. Yeah, we made it a little bit cheaper, but we got rid of that. Well, because we got rid of the mouse controls. Yeah, you weren't using them, so we got rid of them. That's what's going to happen. I think that at 450, the price is not as bad as it might have been expected. Can't you get a basic Steam Deck, or what is it called? A ROG? Is it ROG or ROG? Ally, for cheap, for that price or cheaper or something? But I think these things can get more expensive. Doesn't the $80-$90 game shit kind of steer people away from Nintendo? As a family, you're thinking, wow, okay, Nintendo's the family brand, and they're going to come up with something that costs this much. And I realize Steam doesn't exactly have the most family friendly library, but it has a library, and shit's way cheaper. And if you can also hook up with the Epic Game Store, sometimes these things are free at places. Nintendo don't give you shit for free. Nintendo will say, here's a 35-year-old SNES game for free. And you're like, thanks, Nintendo. I mean, old news, and we could have emulated that for the last dozens of years, but okay. It's something for you to say free for being on this service to play online and talk to my friends occasionally. I don't know if this is going to work out. And with these tariffs, that's Nintendo's way of saying we're reneging. Oh, he dropped the R and the N word. Oh, he dropped the R N word. We're going to change the price. I'm sorry, because Trump is trumping. It's going to be $600. And now you're thinking, well, we have Mario Kart at home, don't we, kids? Yeah, I mean, that's Mario Kart World. It's pretty much the same thing. There's a lot of tracks from the ones that we have already, so why bother, right? You have Zelda at home. You don't need to then spend, and this is a fatal mistake. They're doing the PlayStation 5 shit over here. They're taking one out of the PlayStation 5 playbook with that Last of Us Part 2. It should have been called More of Us. But what do I know? Last of Us Part 2 remaster, and Last of Us remaster. Full price. Not letting you simply get that next gen upgrade so you can play at a stable, decent frame rate for your Switch 2 edition. Not having that free patch. For the competitors to offer these free patches for next gen updates, kind of making Xbox look pretty good. Xbox is kind of looking pretty good, isn't it? I got so much stuff with next gen patches without paying for it. All them damn Resident Evils. I got the next gen patch. I paid $10 for Witcher 3. Next gen patch comes out. Next thing you know, they want like $50 for the game. And I'm like, haha, suckers. I got like the complete edition and all this shit with the next gen patch. But over here at Nintendo, they're like, no, our brand has to be protected. Our brand is so damn strong, and people will pay whatever the hell we tell them to for their damn Mario. I want to see if there's another Mario graphic down here. No, there isn't. We protect the shield. Mario is life. Mario has to be $80, $90 games. It's going to cost you $90, but don't let grandma get tricked into buying the key card version, which admittedly they're doing something a little bit better with this than Xbox does. If my internet went down, and I haven't had this problem since I switched to IdeaTek's fiber, man, Cox Communications, that the internet goes down or your Xbox Live goes down, I can see it saying, okay, fine, you can't play any of your Game Pass games. I can understand that. I can kind of see that being plausible. But for games that I digitally purchased to not launch, full stop. Oh, I'm sorry, you have to be online for this game that you own on your console that is seated and hasn't moved in 3 years and has never left this location in 5. Okay, actually, I think I got it 4 years ago. Hey, I'm sorry. DRM, screw you. At least the keycard feature gives you that game to play offline. You launch it online, and then it's like, okay, we got the information, we're good, it's saved here, whatever. Now, I'm assuming that if you then did a system wipe, something happened in your internal drive or whatever, you'd probably lose what ties that game to your Switch 2. But you're adding a step of confusion here by having these key card games and the games on the... Unless the games come out and they're too big to fit on the cards. I don't know about that. In some way, the price of these cards has to make the games more expensive than when you could simply shell them out on a disc, I would think. So for a disc-based game that doesn't contain the game, simply having the license for the game on it, that has to give you some kind of damn break when applied to an SD card type game, right? If the game's on a card and it's not actually on the card, so we don't need a huge card, we need 1 gigabyte just to say you have a license for it. Boom. Where's the savings? Where is the great savings in the digital purchase? $80 doesn't feel a lot like savings to me. Nintendo should have said, we're a family brand. We will charge $50. Screw the rest of you guys. The Switch 2 will be the second console in the house. You can have your PS5, You can have your Xbox, but you also have a Switch 2. That's the way they win. That was the winning formula. And then they drop the ball by saying, no, we want to be expensive too. And I pointed something out today over on X. You guys aren't following me on X, are you? Because that would be super helpful. So let me type my name in here. Follow. If people actually liked my stuff on X, it would really help drive some damn traffic this way. Trust me. I've mentioned something that the prices of the consoles with the adjusted for inflation, they're saying like in 1985 NES actually adjusted for inflation cost more than the SNES did in like 91 in the US. And also, I think third place you got the Switch 2, adjusted for inflation, which by the way, adjusted for inflation is not scientifically accurate. It is way more speculative and let's work some numbers than real. But you could get an NES or Super Nintendo N64 for hundreds less when they became older. When an N64 was like 2 years old, it would be like $100 and it would come with a bunch of games. A PlayStation 5 now is still like $500 for tech that, frankly, we're releasing these consoles now and they can't be loss leaders because the bean counter and the stock people and our shareholders don't want us to release a product that loses money. Well, that's bad business. We can't do that. So us and Nintendo and Sony, Microsoft, all the bros got together and said, let's make consoles that make money. And the way we're going to do this is have them use last gen tech that is already out the door, going to be outdated. We're going to release these outdated consoles into the marketplace, and we're going to charge a price for them that's going to be pretty damn high, and we're going to keep that price forever until next generation. And then in Christmas time, we'll say, oh, if you clicked right here at the right time, we can give you $50 off. PS5 Pro, shit. The ridiculous nature of tech not getting cheaper when being this ridiculously outdated and old is insane. And at this point, we should have across the board, this generation of consoles should have been across the board 4K, 60 frame per second, every damn single game. And instead, we've got, the Xbox Series X over here has to get pulled down by the Series S, and we can't optimize games for shit. So you're lucky it runs at 30 frames per second at 1080p. And it's just like, why did we have to get into this where this generation of consoles does best playing last gen's games the way they were supposed to be played? That's what my Xbox Series X does best. It plays the Xbox One games the way they envision them to be played. It will play the Xbox One games and they will run at 60 frames per second at 4K. With HDR, sometimes implemented bad way, but these things that get the next gen patch, those are the games that actually work. The actual next gen games very seldom run the way they should. I mean, you have to play Overwatch 2 to see how it ran on over on Xbox One to understand the difference. And it's like, that's not a new game, okay? That's Overwatch 1 with a next gen patch is what it is. And that's why it actually runs well. Other than Capcom, and shockingly enough, I don't know how this came to be the case, but why is it that Capcom can develop a better Xbox Series X game than damn Microsoft in their Xbox Game Studios? Who I know for damn sure are going to shove out this Doom, whatever the hell, Doom Medieval or some shit. And it's not going to give you 60 frames per second with the high resolution. I'll be shocked if it plays well on the Xbox without having to kick it down to 30 frames per second, like some kind of cyberpunk experience. Let's look at some more comments and then we'll do some unboxing. Okay, guys? You're retracting your messages and it makes it hard to read them. Virtual production, maybe in showing my ignorance here, but wasn't the Switch like the Game Boy of the 2010s? It aimed at kids, right? It kind of was. At $300 and sitting at that price for a while because it was a hot item, it it still delivered to the kids because you largely bought a Nintendo Switch to play the Switch games rather than the Switch is your one console, so you're playing all the games on it. So I think that it was, and still it was the cheaper option. And now you have to wonder, what are they thinking is going to be a reasonable price for an Xbox Series Z or a PS6? Shit will start at 1,000, and that's 1,000 now. When shit actually releases, look, if 1,200, 1,500 will not be out of the cards, which was like the kind of like an insane scalper price you could get for Christmas 2000. Like I had the PS2 and was kind of like, oh, should we put that on eBay? Kind of want a lot of money for them. Oh man, PS2 kind of ruined my life if you think about it. The Switch also like the Game Boy and the fact that it had that portable form factor. Think that I don't think the Xbox branded ROG Ally, I'm calling it ROG, I don't think that's going to hit the same way. It's going to just be an appearance package, or maybe it'll give you, to make it Xbox, it's going to also include download code for Forza or something, right? Like, or Doom, the new Doom. It'll include the download code to a game you already have. Uh, Nintendo was the one company not censoring games like 2016 era, so they kept people's goodwill. Switch 2 is just a medium hardware upgrade, not worth it. Man, I'm looking at some of these like side by side shots of Princess Peach in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe next to Mario Kart World, and it's like what I'm seeing is better lighting and textures, models don't look that different to me. I guess I'm going to have to pull it up over here, but this Donkey Kong game, man, let me tell you. What's it called? I'm going to type Donkey Kong. I'm sure I'm going to get this result here somewhere. Bonanza. Okay, Polygon says Donkey Kong Bonanza is not just Mario Odyssey with a gorilla. No, instead, he's smashing shit. And it's like, is this what Donkey Kong does? Like, he's capable of smashing things, but should he be geomodding his way, tunneling through surfaces to get through obstacles? Is that not something a mole does? Do we not? Is that Mr. Driller? Like, what are they doing with Donkey Kong? And I understand that they changed his model a bit. They changed his coif with the hair, trying to make him look like Conan O'Brien. They did something different with the eyes also, and it's hard to pin down, but I think it's like they made his eyes smaller and maybe they separate more, but he still has this brow thing, but then the brown inside, it's not particularly realistic, but yes. Then he has this hair, which I'm calling fur, and it's because he's a mammal, whatever. How come this doesn't look like hair? On our next gen, I mean, this stuff should be ahead of the Series X and base PS5, right? It's not on the market yet, but nope, we can't make a loss leader that has cutting edge technology and then make our money back on the exuberant fees we're charging for these games. We can't do that shit anymore. Instead, we have to make the money right away. Let's give them something that isn't cutting edge, and they'll just be thankful because they get to play Donkey Kong Bonanza on this, and they can't do it on the thing they own right now. Buy our product and like, right? That doesn't look like fur. It looks like he hit his hairy arm with LA gel. Was it LA Looks? Remember that shit? came in a can, well, a plastic tube that was shaped like a soap bottle, and you'd squirt that out in 1992, and you'd put it on and slick your hair back, and it turned your hair into a helmet. He's gelled up his damn arm, and I just don't get it. Like, this doesn't look like that doesn't look like fur. That does not look like fur. Like, that is our next gen approach. Oh, but Vaughn, it's stylistic. Japanese developers do stylistic stuff. Okay, fine. But did he not look like he had fur in the Mario movie that came out 2 years ago? Oh, but Vaughn, but that was a movie, and we can make games now that look like Pixar stuff, and sometimes we just kind of choose not to. So shit. The next gen Switch 2 stuff should look like Mario movie jumped off the damn theater and into your damn Switch. And instead, it really doesn't. It does not look graphically impressive. In motion, some of the clips from Mario Kart World look fun. But that's about as much as I can really say for it, if I'm being completely real with you guys. And I keep it real over here because I'm not paid enough to lie. That should be that's a quote or a motto. I'm not paid enough to lie. There, write that down. Right, I need to get that on a shirt. Is that a shirt? Is that a shirt? How do I start a damn poll? Hold on. Do I start a poll? Not. Oh, hold on. We're gonna all cap that. Well, okay, you get the idea. Okay, we're running a poll. We'll see if anybody says anything. I doubt it. Vaughn, you need an Asian that doesn't talk, but she sits in the corner of the screen, and then people will watch you on Fridays. There's something tragic about the sight of a grown man with a controller in his hand. Is there? Because I could. Well, okay. Actually, I think I might have just torn my damn joint. If I was LeBron James, I'd be out. But I have controllers around I could grab, or I thought they were in arm's reach. Is that? No. Actually, hold on. This is my first. I was. God, that was a bad choice. I used this old Elite Series 2. This is the one that broke just outside of its 90-day warranty, just in time to be like, hey, can you help me with that? And they're like, sorry, pandemic, we don't really want to help. And I'm like, okay, well, I've used it some for Dreamcast emulation stuff, like as a Bluetooth controller, and that's about all I've done with it for about 3 years. I replaced it about 3 years ago as my main controller. All right, so make something sad about that, shall we? The Switch was starting to need an upgrade, but Switch 2 doesn't bring enough new. It really doesn't. It is mild color scheme change. Okay, well, we kind of muted the red to salmon and the blues lighter, and Switch 2. Hell, let's not include the OLED so that we can then charge people for an OLED model in 2 years, right? I don't typically call it X. I will have you know that on my phone it is still the Twitter app. Shall I show this off? I have not updated. That way it can specifically be Twitter still. So you can see it's Twitter on my phone. Specifically not update, and boy does that app not run right. A lot of times stuff doesn't load. It's such a poorly ran social network. I can type my name, my username at Von Fry, and words I said earlier this week and not find my tweet. Because I don't know, like it used to be that would be the only search result would be exactly what you looked for in words that appeared in the damn message. And now it's kind of like, no, there's no money in that. We want you to not find what you're looking for. We want you to find popular people for you to follow and increase the money that they're going to get this month for keeping this network alive. That is the point of search engines now. You don't find what you're looking for, you're finding what they want you to find. Okay, what else are we saying here? Oh man, I'm really behind on this. Yeah. Came for the video ripping Star Wars 7 and still watching years later. Love the content. My apologies. Star Wars 7. You didn't see the video of me. Hold on. Yeah, okay, shit. Yeah, it was Star Wars 7. I mean, I ripped all of them. I did the damn commentary. I feel almost like there's more ripping to do. That's how I can sometimes fall asleep watching like this. Is it Bread Circus has like a 12-hour video on one of the Star Wars movies? Or he just there at one point, I think he had one that is still like an ongoing project where he gives all the lore in Attack of the Clones. And the amount of lore in the background and all this shit in the scenes in which they're chasing the assassin, just all the cars that go by, and then there's this screen, and this tells about a sport, and I mean, shit, you're 3 hours into that video, and they're still talking about death sticks from the damn bar. So, Vaughn, if you saw my Twitter timeline, you would be strongly reminded of Think of the Austrian painter. I don't think I know who the Austrian painter is. Sounds like a serial killer. Switch 2's value will be in third-party support. I don't think so. Games like COD on the go, all the Nintendo stuff will be. Here's the problem. People are playing the COD on the go on a Steam Deck. And I don't even think people are inclined to play first-person shooters without a mouse and keyboard anymore, because they end up largely getting destroyed by people bringing a mouse and keyboard to console, or by having to play against the people on mouse and keyboard on a faster running PC. Are you really going to be wanting to lobby in with the PC guys when you're running like 50 frame per second or less Call of Duty, Black Ops 90 or whatever number they're on your Switch on the go with bad internet connection? Do they even say what kind of Wi-Fi signal stuff this had? Does it have the most up-to-date? Is it, I'm going to sound old, is it Wi-Fi 6 or are we past that? Or what are we on now? Like, I think the PS5 or the Xbox Series X, one of them had one protocol that was better than the other when it came to this stuff. I use an Ethernet cable straight into the Xbox, and I get up and down, shit, over a gig a second or something. Like I think, in theory I do, but in practice, what the Xbox can handle, it's more like 300 megabytes per second up and down. Okay, Donkey Kong Nutella edition. He looks like he's slathered up Nutella all over himself. I mean, part of why it takes me 10 minutes to get the stream started is I have to shave my arms a bit for you guys so I don't freak you out too much, because it didn't used to be a problem. In college, we had a pool at the dorm, and didn't have much of an issue with the back and the arm. Not so much these days. I have a few other beauty secret type things I need to be doing, or trying to maintain a routine so I can get videos out there as an Amazon influencer or whatever. Do that stuff. I want to show you some things. Picked these up. We're in the unboxing portion of our video, by the way. Go buy yourself a hot Asian. Oh, is that what he did? Is that what the Nerdrotica? What is it? Yeah. He bought himself an Asian. She's not even like that hot of one, so maybe she was affordable. got myself, that's the accessory box. Does this say it right here? Probably. You can probably read that. This is from Rode. Stuck in Las Vegas for a week and then it's shipped from Vegas to Texas, sat there for almost like a week and then arrived in my town in Kansas. But this is amazing. I just got this yesterday. The short that I did today for my dad's channel, Monty Can Do, we recorded with these, and it's so cool. You've got a wireless receiver here, and the transmitters look pretty darn similar. But you have the transmitter on you. You plug in the lavalier mic, and this is incredibly good quality. It'll actually record to the unit in case you have a problem with your connection between how you have this hooked up to your phone or your other camera. And so you have that saved over here, and you can just drag and drop it into your timeline like it was a file. It'll finalize all that. Charges in the case, like that Xbox controller I showed you, but the case also holds a charge. So the case can hold 2 charges for these, which is pretty awesome. But even better, the accessory case is loaded to the brim with stuff. We've got magnets for clipping things on, all the cables you can need. We've got, I'm going to have to show you that kind of separate, but here's lav stuff. There's furry things in here, all sorts of stuff. But I got some furries that Wags. I bought Wags on Amazon. No, these guys, Bumblebee, make really good wind muffing stuff, and I think they're from Denmark. By the way, I had to talk to somebody in Australia about my shipment. I called up Rode or whatever, and then they patched me through to Australia where the stuff's made in Australia. And the guy's like, "Hey, I'm gonna check with my supervisor," and I'm like, "No worries," because that's what they say over there. So, the thing did arrive, but these guys, they make really good wind muff stuff, and I've used some of their things before, but I have this one on the lav mic. So you can't see it in the short we did today, but my dad wore this in the short, and you can really count on this being why the audio was good. Like all this stuff made for very broadcast like audio. And I wanted my dad to have a mic that he could wear for these videos because I know he's going to turn away or address something on a truck or some shit, and I'm not going to by myself hold a camera and work a boom mic and all this whatever else. So I knew I needed something like this, and so we were waiting to really get something going and have some a pretty good but modest production going, and try to be like the channels he watches at night with mom, where old people do RV stuff. So that was something pretty cool. We got to get through this pretty soon here, guys, because I'm going to show you something I'm going to watch afterwards here. All right, Xbox controllers are trash. Have been since the 360 was bulletproof. The thing had screws in it, man. They don't even screw this stuff down anymore. Bunch of plastic that separates. Their controllers are reliably bad, though, unquestionably. Then play new intro lyrics, My Pet Asian, to drum up cancellation drama. My Pet Asian, like when the Asian girl comes on screen to chime in and fact check, My Pet Asian. Like there could be a jingle, right? If I want a PS5, I would use it as a doorstop. Well, now, it's 5 years late. I can kind of see that. It'd be a flex. In fact, Anna Paquin uses her Oscar as a doorstop. Full stop. I need to clip that because that could be a short right there, right? How do I do that? Paquin or Anna. I'm gonna put Anna And then, oh, this is not going well. I'm going to hit share clip and see what happens. That probably shouldn't be public because that sounds dumb as shit. Now I have to go look and see how stupid that came out. 'Cause, I mean, it kind of needs to be edited down, right? I don't see anything there. Videos, clip, whatever. I don't know how clipping works in this. I kind of just wanted to, remember something. I don't think it saves automatically. I think I've done that before, actually. Okay, whatever. Now I've hit something and made the chat disappear. I am surprised that you never did a Futurama skit as Fry on the older channels. Yeah, I don't sound like them. That's the problem. Be careful, Vaughn. She might be. Oh, yeah. Dude, I've got to say, I was scrolling through Twitter a couple nights ago, and the messages it wants you to see are the replies are bots that are, selling a subscription to an adult site. And there was some girl, and you're looking at her and you think, hey, she doesn't look bad. And then you kind of like, well, something seems off with this bulge. But then you look at the bio and it says like your favorite T girl. And I think T stands for what you're guessing. And it's not that I'm like, oh, hey, that's appealing. It's more like these surgeons have to be stopped, right? Like they're doing the effort in the surgery to make these men look like women is going too far. We need to not, it needs to be obvious from behind somebody. Hey, that's a guy. It shouldn't be now everything's a damn guessing game now. Like this is not the state of affairs we wanted to live in. Was it where it was like, hold on, how do I know you're really a girl for everybody, right? Like, it's insane. Your remark of hot Asian in the corner was similar to whatever. Yeah, that's are you talking about whatever podcast? I'm thinking of that what nerdrotic. Yeah. They do a Friday night tights, and then people pay them money to read the comments, and there's some is her name X-Ray Girl, and I'm guessing she controls like whose pictures brought up or whatever, because she doesn't have a lot of other input. She's got to be there for something, and it can't just be because she's Asian, right? No, I don't know. Von Fry stand-up comedy tour when I have fans who elicit willing to pay any money for me to tour. I I'm I'm thinking about maybe a stop or two with Larry the Cable Guy. Now look, I know what you're thinking. Everyone cut cable. Does he still go by Larry the Cable Guy? When I saw about him coming through the state, it actually said Larry on tour, not. And then you go through the link and it's like his site calls him Larry the Cable Guy. So I think he knows the cable's unpopular, so he's trying to ease out of that. But also I was thinking, how much hot water could I be for opening for Larry the Cable Guy and then spending the next 5 minutes roasting Larry the Cable Guy? Would that be considered bold? Would that put you on a map? I don't know. And then, like, what pull does Larry the Cable Guy have to ruin someone's career that's already not anywhere? So, what difference would it make, right? That's how you get over stage fright. Is just what difference would it make? Who cares? Like, that helps. Robert Chambers, aka Legrand Fry. There's a guy named Robert Chambers. Legrand, huh? Are we making references? Don't fry ABC Lex. What are we going on about? I don't under. Don Fry. Oh, right. Why is this saying don't? Nerdrotic is X-Ray Girl, but I don't think they're. Oh, does he have a wife or something? I think he mentions a kid. Is this guy doing something to try to translate? And is David over here not an English native speaker? Let me start to wrap things up for you guys. We're unboxing a few things. This, think from Grindhouse Pictures, Grindhouse releasing, yeah. Oh, yeah, I forgot. Yeah, hold on. No, mm, I can show you the back of this, but I cannot show you the back of. I can show you that, but that's about it because they this is not designed to go on store shelves. All right, so there's a few things to note here. This was a lost movie directed by a woman in like 1971. Sounds like a pretty typical, there's a serial killer, almost American dirt cheap indie Jallo picture thing. This guy is I think the actor was like a former musician of some kind, tried to have some, 60s band or whatever. And he's a cameraman for adult films, but he has bigger ambitions, and he meets an actress, that's in the scene, right? And he has a tendency to choke a bitch out. It doesn't get as lurid with things as one would expect, as it potentially could, but I mean, there's also plenty of that. But it also kind of reframes things to make you think that in 1971, that Hollywood's the bad guy. Like, didn't isn't all the broken dreams and stuff? Isn't that this really Hollywood's fault, or is this a product of the system? And these are kind of themes that don't come up in a movie from that period. And I think that's why. And I mean, not that I'd put much stock in him, but that Sean Baker, who just won a stack of Oscars for a mediocre movie, he's like a big fan of this, and it's like, of course, because it's about sex workers, and that's his whole thing. So, to be expected on that. Where am I going to put? I've got a lot of stuff to unbox for you guys. I don't really have anywhere else to put it. Kabam! Finally got Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust. As you know, the first anime movie I watched was Vampire Hunter D on the Sci Fi Channel. I picked up the Steelbook Blu ray of that and just got this in. Had to, so I got Hollywood 90028 on Amazon. I needed something else in order to not pay for shipping. And that's where Vampire Hunter D comes in. Now, this is Bloodlust, the 2000 movie. It is animated on cells, conventional film shot cells. I think it's shot on film. So I do like the traditional anime stuff. I haven't seen this since I rented it on Netflix via DVD way back in college. And I thought I'd give it another shot. Now, unfortunately, after the day after this arrives, I learned that there is a remaster coming. In fact, this is like available in Japan now. And they're saying it's a new scan, or we're not sure. But it is by Discotek Media, and even if this is one of their earlier releases, they've done a really damn good job cleaning up and restoring things. So the plan is to watch this, Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust, tonight. With that in mind, I will tell you, the OG 1985 Vampire Hunter D is coming back to theaters next week only. I think April 8, 9, 10. In locally, it's only playing on April 9th at my AMC theater, I believe. People are already booking seats. People were not booking seats for Snow White with Rachel Zegler. And people are about a week out booking seats for Vampire Hunter D. Now, it is a small auditorium, and we'll see how that goes. I probably won't go to it because it has a lot of corner cutting animation. The story is not super amazing stuff. It is kind of disappointing when I watched it on Blu-ray a little over a year and a half ago. It did ultimately come across as a little disappointing, not quite the way you remember it. But 40th anniversary, it's more like if it came out in 85, is it, I mean, it's not one when it releases, so is it really an anniversary? Your first anniversary would be a year after you were married, so how do we count this shit? But, everybody has to be wrong. This guy David kind of seems to be saying a lot of gibberish. I don't know. David is making a joke. It's one that's not landing. If the comedy hour fails, you could always Hour or tour, become a clothes horse. I can see you stuttering the catwalk in a Balenciaga shell suit with Ray-Ban. I don't know if they would allow the Ray-Bans and the Balenciaga. 95 Neon Air Max Bubble, April 18th. May have to check that out. Nike, man, I'm waiting to get a size 10 because I have a 9.5 Nike Lab Vandal High, the Terminator. And I'd like to have a size 10 also, a little bit more toes room. But they won't release that shoe because why release the stuff people want, right? They're doing this themselves and they deserve all the shit they get. How is your vid, the rise and fall of action movies, coming along? I haven't worked on it in a while. I shot it about a month ago, and I think what I'll ultimately end up doing is the cheaper, like more efficient route on the edit. Get clips from trailers to play while I'm talking about the subject rather than the direct what I'm speaking like in to edit a movie review like I did the Jackie Chan thing where you are talking about the scene as you see it, and that kind of breakdown is tougher. And the way I explained everything in the rise and fall of action movies was very generalized. It was almost like a Game Sack video. You ever watch Game Sack where the two guys, now it's just one guy? There was a bald guy and a balding guy. And I think the balding guy is still doing Game Sack. But they'll talk about a game and just have a mishmash of clips from it that don't actually pertain to a current obstacle or an issue. And it is the efficient way to go about this. So, that all said, I promise, I absolutely do promise now, I will sit down this weekend and get to some kind of orderly process work on that, be it simply, you know, doing the edit for all of my talking and then go and find the clips and all that and plug them in place, something like that. Vaughn, NBA no, yes BA. I have a BGS. Zoomers love anime. I know, and it's surprising that we're not about to witness like some kind of anime live action kick. I guess it's because Netflix has screwed the pooch on it too many times. But you would almost think that the route would have been live action One Piece cinematic universe or like a plan to make money with this stuff rather than something to have on a streaming platform. But it looks like there's just not enough movie money to be made, and therefore we don't even get the movies that sound like the fiscally responsible slam dunk, for lack of a better term. The Gong Show, Chuck Barris, aka Von Fry. What is he going on? David, I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to skip some of the stuff here and just get on with unboxing. Didn't you say something about unboxing? Indeed. Okay, so here we go. So those were two items that I got. This came from Target. Now I've got 3 movies in here. Target had a buy 2 get 1 free. And if I spent 70 plus, I'd get a $10 credit. And I had over 70, but it was kind of like below it, fine, but then plus it with the tax, but then you count in the deal. And I was confused, but Hector, very helpful support guy over at Target, said he would credit me the $10, so I got an extra $10 off. So what do we have here? Okay. Oh, look at this. Point Break. Ronald Reagan, Patrick Swayze, Keanu Reeves. Sir, I stripped the skin off chicken or something like that, right? This is a steelbook. So, and hold on, does it steelbook limited edition? Doesn't include a digital copy, so it will be kind of harder for me to get clips for. But we gotta have the possibility that anything I pick up on physical, I'm gonna have to consider doing like a commentary track in addition, just to get my money's worth. The commentary stuff is pretty popular, and I need to be doing more of those. Inside, what else do we have? Got some more anime. Megazone 2-3. So the reason why I picked this up, classical, traditional anime drawing stuff. I believe it's in English. It's from Anime Igo. This release, they don't have the best quality when it comes to like restoring sort of things, but kind of like upscaled DVD maybe. We'll see how this works, but there's 3 movies, 3 OVA miniseries things here, and 1 and 2 are available to watch free online. The third one is missing. Now, people say the third one's not as good, but you can't say there's 3 of them and only give me 2. And then may as well pick up a DVD, Blu-ray, whatever that contains all of them. That's the way I see this going. So, and look, I'm going to be real with you guys. I kind of forgot what I ordered. So this might be a surprise because I remember the Point Break steel book. So what do we have here? I'm not going to look. I'm going to pull this out. Oh yeah, that's right. Riding Bean, also Anime Igo release. I'm not crazy familiar with this. I think it might be pretty short. Like runtime of like under an hour, maybe. If I'm not mistaken. Do we not write runtimes on stuff anymore? Jeez. I don't. Guy has a car, traditional animation. I felt like maybe that would be worth including in the collection. And in part, I'm feeling kind of brilliant building a collection of some kind now on like the best established physical media we can get now, because I don't see anything going beyond 4K. I don't see an 8K disc getting printed out anywhere that will play in your PS6. I don't see it happening. Okay, could be kind of cool in some applications, but what are we going to watch 6K, 8K? Okay, I guess there are 8K TVs, right? What is going to fit that? Like just IMAX and some digital large format camera stuff? And if you didn't shoot on that, what good does it do? And the fact that we already made all the good movies that'll ever be made and they were shot on film, is that going to make a difference? Is all that stuff going to come out on like a Chrome book or something? Like, we have to go higher than steel. It's Latinium book edition, right? Like, everything's just getting dumb. Oh, thank God. I thought for a moment you were going to be unboxing a Switch 2. That would have been a trick. If I was going to unbox a Switch 2, there'd be an Asian here. So, if you will excuse me, I'm going to start the popcorn, watch some Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust, probably talk about that in a month's time or something like that. I don't know. Do you need me to see Vampire Hunter D in theaters? Oh, shoot. You know what? There was another thing. Actually, okay, so I already opened this, so it's not a true unboxing, but included free with my microphone is this converter to turn it into a man on the street mic, which I'm now going to... Shit. Oh, that could have been easier than I made it look. Now, you kind of do need to hit this with some chemicals to get the Rode branding off here. It's a bit obnoxious. But you will see these in man on the street interviews. Somebody may have had something very similar to this with the Hawk Tuah girl. And I think you need to have the man on the street component to go viral, right? So imagine maybe my mom doing some man on the street stuff. The trouble is, there isn't much of a street traffic scene around here. You kind of have to be on a boardwalk, at a beach, festival, in order to do drunk night out, whatever, in order to do man on the street stuff. You need someone to hold the camera, whatever. But you slide this off, and inside you got a space to hold that microphone transmitter unit right there. Slide this bad boy on. And I'll tell you, for a free accessory bonus, and I think they're like $20, if 20 or 30 or something separate, whatever. The quality you get out of this is not that bad compared to the typical $1,000 microphone that a professional, would actually use for. Oh, can I put that there? I have a mic holder here. It's not. But sort of works. But yes, we're going to get into some Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust. Pretend that I'm holding the actual disc, even though clearly this is just the slipcover. So, yeah. Oh, hold on. We got more questions here. This guy's Mike Diamond, such a troll. Okay. I still find it hard to believe that anyone would want a TV bigger than 65 inches. People who want 100-inch. There does get to be a problem with not looking at a TV, but having to move your eyes to see what's on the screen. Most of the stuff I watch is on a 55-inch, and sometimes I think, well, it could be bigger, but then you would kind of have to move your eyes across the screen. I'm probably not getting the full scope of my 4K stuff out of it. I mean, I can see a big difference between what Netflix streams in 1080p and what is a 4K disc. That's for sure. You can see that. Vanity Nasty Von Foamposite. Is that a collaboration I'm doing with Nike? I don't know what this guy's going on about. David, you better start making sense, or my man's gonna have to kick you. I see. I need to make somebody I don't know, what is it? Admin mod, whatever. Okay, right. Made this far. Wait until marriage counseling. I accidentally blinked instead of winked, so then I had to wink.